what I'm going to do is something different. Kevin's supposed to come here today. Come this morning. I'm feeling well. See if he gets here in time. I want to tell you the reason why I invited Kevin. Kevin's one of my all-time friends, good friends in this business. And in this business, you need good friends, right? So, how I met Kevin, I'm going to tell him, even if he's not here, I don't care. I'm going to talk about him anyway. That's what it is. When I first met Kevin, it was years ago, San Diego Comic-Con. I was signing some autographs and, doing my thing. And I was working on a book called The 10th Muse. And this guy comes up and he goes, "Hey, I really love your stuff." And I was like, "Who the heck is that?" And I look up and it's Kevin. So I meet this guy, we shake hands, I sign an autograph, he leaves. A week later, I get invited to the premiere for Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels. And I went, and I was sitting in the front row because, I'm VIP, so I sat in the front. So I was sitting in the front, and, the scene where, Carmen Diaz is dancing and doing her thing, and they turn the camera to the bouncers, and there's Kevin. And I go, "That's a black guy I just met last week. That's so strange, And then I go home and I'm watching an Incredible Hulk, and didn't even watch the scene, and there's a black guy who enters a house and he first turns into the Hulk, and you go, "Oh my God, Kevin's an FBI agent." And you realize this guy's got all these movies that I've watched and had in my house for years, and we became really good friends after that. And so we're working together, some cool stuff, and maybe he'll show up today, maybe we'll see. But I want to tell you a little bit about my career and what I've done since the beginning of time, it seems. I was working as a teacher for the Toronto Board of Education, and I'm from Toronto. And I had a couple kids in my class, and I was drawing comics growing up, high school and all that stuff. I went to art school and all that stuff. And what happened was, I had a couple kids in my class that said, "Oh, can you draw Wolverine? And I said, "Sure." So I sketched Wolverine in class, and their faces were like, "Holy cow, dude, you draw amazing." And I go, "Well, I am the teacher, so hopefully that works for you." So I ended up doing, I started thinking about what I maybe should do comics. I was only 22 at the time. And I decided to submit my work to Marvel Comics. I went to a show, and I got hired on the spot to draw different books for Marvel. So the first book I ever did was Excalibur. And then the next was 2 issues in, I did the Age of Apocalypse Excalibur. So that was the first real work I did. So that was like 1993 or 4. I've been working ever since, doing stuff here and there. I even left comics for a while, and I went and did some other stuff. I had a company called Drexel Jump Entertainment, and we did really cool stuff for all kinds of people. And I got nominated for an Emmy for work I did for Fox Sports and all that stuff. But really what I'd like you guys to know is that it's about being creative. Now, this is a tough business to be in. It's in the sense that it's not so much tough in the sense that people are talking about, it's tough to get in. It is not that tough to get in, it's tough to stay in. That's the toughest part of comic books, because there's always something that they can get cheaper, faster, whatever it is. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you a little bit of the stuff that I do. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm also a designer for Hasbro Toys. So I did Valor vs. Venom. I did all the Valor vs. Venom package art and designs. I also did all the package art for Star Wars Unleashed. So I did all that stuff. I do a lot of stuff for Hasbro and Mattel and that kind of stuff. So, and I still balance to do my comic book work monthly. But DC doesn't know that. They think I'm just slow. So I'm going to show you some of the artwork. So this is kind of a little bit of a show on top, because I asked for the screen because I wanted to show you some of the stuff that I do. Now, how I work usually is not like how most people work in comic business. Most people in the comic business, they do lots of roughs, and then they do finish roughs, and then they do other roughs, and then they roughs, and then they scan the roughs, and then they finish the roughs, and then they print the roughs, and then they show the roughs. Right? I'm not that guy. I just go, I got a sheet of paper, and I got 20 minutes. I'm going to do a cover. Like that. That's how I think, right? So it makes editors go nuts because they love the work at the end, but they say, "Ken, I want to see progress." I go, "Well, I have his foot, and I got his back, and I got half of his eye." And they go, "I don't understand." I said, "Well, how do you do this, right? How are you inking it when you have?" I said, "I'm a genius." No, that's not how it works. But that's how I do things, right? So I'm going to show you some of this stuff. Okay, typical example. This is a piece that I did. This is how I start things. So this is like sort of a rough way I do things. So I do really rough. So when I do something like this is completely.
Wow.
See, something like that, like you say, "Oh, look at all the work in there," but there's no work really in there. I drew no legs, you know, 2 hands kind of in the same position, and the rest is all random. So what you really do is I take washes and I just splash it around the paper, and then I build an image from there. When I'm doing stuff, so I'm doing a cover work. So I'm doing covers for Marvel vs. Zombie, you know, the Marvel Zombie line. I don't know how it works, but that's how I'm going over there. So this is how I do the roughs for the cover. So. And I do these kind of quick. And this is a little bit of a trick that I learned. Now, don't tell Marvel I told you this. We all sworn to secrecy here, right?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that clearly. You hear those secrecy? Yes. Okay. Every time I draw a sketch for a cover, the biggest one is the one I want to draw. And I couldn't decide which one of these 2 I liked, so I drew them the same size. So then on this page, I drew them a lot smaller. So I don't want to draw any of these. You know? So what happens is they go, instinctively, your eye always goes to the biggest image. So an editor will always go, these are cool, Ken, but I like this one. And I go, oh, that's what I like, right? But it's always that one. The larger the image, the one they pick. So they ended up picking, which one would you think they picked? Let's see if you guys, which one do you think they picked of these 2?
The right one.
How do you, totally. The one on the right is the one they chose. That's good. You guys are editors now. Okay. Now, that's how they. Here's the funny thing about working on the zombies. They go, yeah, make as many evil zombie guys superheroes. And I like, who would you pick? They go, whoever you want. I go, well, who would you pick? I'm trying to lead you to look at that. So if you look close, there's Venom, and then there's Doc Ock at the top, then there's Electro, Vulture, and a whole lot of other messy stuff. All right, moving on. Is that okay? Yeah. So okay. Here's one question. Here we go. Digital. Okay. I have mixed feelings about digital stuff. I ink my own stuff. I didn't want to ink my own stuff for a long time. I figured that's not my thing. I'm gonna, I'm a penciler. Let somebody ink it and that kind of stuff. But I was always sort of it's hit or miss. Like either they understood or maybe they were on a crunch deadline. And sometimes you get the stuff back and it's a hot mess. And sometimes you get it back and it's glorious, way better than you intended. But it's always 50-50. Like you don't know what you're gonna get, right? So. A few years ago, DC said, we really want you to ink your own work. And I was not an inker, and I was kind of really resistant to it. I was like, I don't want to ink it. And they're like, really? We want you to ink it. But it's also for them, it's time. It's one artist, they can make one phone call, they get the whole thing done. I can see their point. I was not comfortable. I was like, no, I can't do this. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And I noodled the crap out of it. I'm like, I'm doing every mistake you make as an inker that I always get mad at guys for doing, I did it because I was trying to make it really awesome. And at the end, they just colored it, whatever, right? So I did all this stuff that wasn't useful. So at the end, I'm getting better at inking, and then they asked me to do Superman Doomsday. And then they said, well, it's 38 pages, and we want you to ink it. And I said, well, that's a monster book. Like that's a top year of my life. So they said, oh, you really want to do that? And what happened was because the book, I didn't realize how big the book was going to be as a launch. It was going to be part of the story, but I was launching the story for the summer. So what happened was, there were so many rewrites, so I would do pages, and then they would say, oh, no, we've changed that part, and I penciled and inked it. Like, it's in the queue, it's done. So I ended up doing about 7 pages that are not actually in the book, that are in my drawer. And they even, I don't know if you've seen the book, Do Superman Doom, #1? And it came out last summer, it was a 38-page book. It took me 9 weeks to do. 9 weeks, which is long. But it's also 2 months' work, so I guess it worked out to be about the same. So I like to ink it, but I'm working in digitally now.
Do they pay you for the rewrite? In other words, you start one and then you got to do it over?
Well, I mean, technically I can just say, yeah, you need to pay me, and they would pay me for it. But I don't.
Okay.
Again, I'm in a situation where I do well for myself other ways, so I don't really, that's kind of, here's a page you're never going to use, pay me. I wouldn't do that. And that's one of the things. That's another thing. That's an interesting question.
They can change it on you.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm 100%. But it's also cool to have a page in your drawer that never got printed, and a fan will say, "What is that?" And I go, "This one never made it to the book," and somebody picks it up and goes, "That's cool." Right? So I keep them, and they're half drawn. Maybe some of them are completed. the main point of that book, I'm going to ruin it for you, so if you haven't bought it, that's too bad. Where Superman rips the guy in half and he destroys Doomsday, crushes him. I drew that page. Well, of course, you read the script and you go, oh my God, he gets to kill Doomsday. I'm doing that page first. So I did that page first, awesome double page spread, and they said, oh yeah, now that is awesome image, but it's part of a double page spread with more panels on it. And I'm thinking, dude, that's done. So I did it again, and I put that original into my drawer, and I redrew it again, a little better, and I put the panels around it. So now I have the double page spread that I originally did in my office. So everybody who comes over to my house goes, what's cool stuff? And I pull out, like, oh my God, can I buy that? And I go, no. No, that's my cool stuff, right? So that's one of the things that you do as an artist. You do these things. I could charge them, I could have done it, but it's a relationship that you build with a company, right? Like I'm working for DC for a long time now, maybe 7 8 years, and they're like, hey, wash your hand. That's how you work it. If you become that guy who's always like, every time something happens, I want to get paid, they find a way not to work with you. You become that guy. Nobody wants to be that guy, right? So so let's show some more artwork, because this is kind of what it's about, right? So I'm doing the book called Superman Doom, the sort of the new teen Doom. It comes out in June. Now I'm doing the variant cover, which means I know variant covers can be tricky nowadays, but variant covers, no one's seen this image. I'm going to show it to you guys. Are you sure? You want to see it? Yeah. So this is the new, that's what it looks like. Oh, see, I pulled my trick on it. See, no legs. But here's the funny thing is about this cover. Well, this is how it works when you're doing covers for major companies like DC, Marvel, whatever. This cover, I got called by Eddie Brigade. Eddie Brigade is a really nice guy, super good friend of mine, and he'll call me up on a Thursday or a Friday night and say, hey, Ken, I need a variant cover for Monday. And I was like, okay, it's like Thursday night, and I go, oh, okay. And I go, what do you want drawn? And he's like, well, I haven't decided that yet, but I still need a cover for Monday. Right? So I go, okay, well, we'll get that done. So so Friday morning, so Thursday night he says, are you available? I said, yes. He sends me a couple ideas, he thinks, well, when I say he sends me a couple ideas, this is what I mean. He goes, a cool shot of a guy who's like a rock guy, who's like a demon. Okay? And you're like, sure. Right? So then you end up doing the design. I did 4 or 5 sketches. I didn't bring them with me. And then I go from there, and then I did the cover over the weekend. So that probably took me about 5 hours total. And I inked that, right? Oh, Black Man. Oh, I think everybody here there's Kevin. Here you go. Let's say everyone say hello to Kevin. I talked about you already. I said bad things about you all the way, so don't worry about it. I said terrible.
I apologize.
That's all good. Well, good, man. So what I'm saying is that when you're doing artwork like that, you don't have as much time as you think. Everyone says, oh, you must have 6 months to work on the cover. Oh, here's my favorite cover story idea. You ready? We did. I did a cover for. I have 2. Superman Doom #1. Hello. Superman Doom #1. What happened was, they called me and they said they wanted. Okay, I didn't tell you the truth. He's gonna be very upset that I told you this, but the editor. But I don't care. He's not here. What happened was he wanted me to draw a picture of Doomsday opening up his chest like he's wearing Superman, and he's Doomsday opening up like he's Superman. Like, dude, come on now. Nobody wants to see that, right? So I drew a picture of Doomsday chewing on, making the gross, disgusting face, and that's what Doomsday is. And now it became the image. They use the image everywhere. So the editor said, "You see that? You need to listen to me more often. Follow my lead. I'm telling you what to do." And then you should laugh at that. It's crazy. And I got Kevin's here. I can say it straight. I watched My Frankenstein 2 weeks ago. Came on my.
And I apologize.
Don't apologize. I wasn't in the movie, so I can apologize. So here, every time he does something in a movie, I don't recognize him as the guy. I go, Kevin. Why are you doing that, Kevin? Why are you beating that girl? Kevin, why did you grab that girl's knife? Kevin, it's so, I have suspension of disbelief. I just go, Kevin is being mean again to some girl. That's how it is. So anyway, we're talking about you. So what I'm saying is that's how I do covers, that's how I do it. Any other questions you want to ask me before I move forward? Shoot.
How many roughs do they usually usually ask for you to do?
I do more roughs than usual because my brain kind of goes off on tangents and different things. But I probably do about 5 or 6, maybe a little more. But one of the things that I like to do, a lot of them, they use them for other stuff. I'll do a couple sketch covers, a couple sketches, and then I'll go, well, this is going to be for number 6, and we're going to use this one for 9, and and then they start passing it off to other people, right? Like, those are how it works. But that's my job is to give them images that they can use for the cover or whatever, but I don't really look at it as this is the only absolute image. I do different things for different things. Well, one of the things, let me tell you about the cover. I did a cover for Batwing, and it had a lion head on it. I don't know if you've seen the lion head, and it's about to engulf the character. What happened was, I did the cover, and I did the sketch, and they approved the sketch, and what happened was, when I did the final, I turned the lion's head just like a little bit, and it changed the whole feeling of the cover. So I kept trying to fix it. Like, I kept trying to turn it and fix it, and I kept, no, it looks like a lion tamer now. It doesn't work. So at that morning, I was supposed to go to my daughter's school to do the parent-teacher, bring your parent to school day. And so the cover was due at 4 o'clock that afternoon. I got it the day before, to tell you another story. So I had the cover there. I said I didn't like it. I put it in the drawer. I put it on my desk, and then I went to their school. I came back at 11, and then I redid the cover in an hour, and I sent it. Started from scratch. And it's probably one of the best covers I did. The reason why it's one of the better covers is because I didn't have time to think about it. I knew what I wanted to do, and I just did it, right? So that's it. You drink all that water? Right? You all right? Kevin's gonna drink all the water, by the way. So any other questions you want to ask? Why? Okay.
Real quick,
Shoot.
you were saying that you started out as a teacher, and then Marvel came along and gave you an offer.
Yep.
You signed up with those guys.
Yep.
I'm not looking for numbers here, but you're comfortable or make you comfortable living as a teacher. When you got that first job, what is that? Is that a year? Are you good for a year at that point? You good for a couple of months? What's the first job?
But it was the 90s.
Okay.
So it was, like, as you can tell you, but the 90s you go from, let's just put it in perspective. I was teaching,
Right.
and I got hired in, I think, June. I think it was June, I remember distinctly, it was summertime. And financially, I made probably 4 times what I would have made for a full year from June to Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so the house that I live in now, I bought it based on one job I did for Marvel Comics. I did a book called Exiles, and I got paid a certain amount, and I had this check, and I said, let's buy a house, and I bought a house.
Right.
So I mean, it was the 90s. It was the 90s, and I'm gonna get those are not. The reason why I want to ask Kevin to come here is because Kevin and I have been friends for a long time, and I want this to be more of a spotlight on the people that help you, inspire you to get where you need to go in your life. And it's not only about people who you meet, who are artists like yourselves. Kevin's an artist in his own right, but I really want him to talk about us as 2 creators, talking about how we go about doing what we do on a daily basis. It's not so much comic books and drawing and what I do, and I'll go through all that stuff, but I really want to talk about, how do you get into Marvel Comics the way you went, how did you do it, compared to like how I did it. Like, how I did it. Every single person, every artist in the world that you've ever met is unique in how they got into business. There's not a blueprint in saying, this is how I got in, follow my blueprint, because it's impossible for you to follow my blueprint because I went a different way. I showed my stuff, or someone liked my work, I got offered a job. And then people always say, oh, you picked Excalibur because it was an X-Men book. The truth of the matter is, when my phone rang, they called first. And so my phone rang, and I picked up the phone, and it was Marvel Comics saying, do you want to draw Excalibur? I said, hell yeah, right? So I took the job, and I was like, my life has changed, right? Oh my gosh, I hung up the phone, I'm calling somebody else, oh my God, my girl, I got an X-Men job, and the phone beeps, and I go, hello? And it's like, hi, this is, Rob Tokar from Marvel Comics. And I go, yeah? He goes, yeah, I'm an artist on the New Warriors. I go, yeah? Like, you're like, who's this guy, right? And he goes, oh, you want to hire you to do New Warriors? I go, dude, I just said yes to X-Men, dude. Like, and I'd be like, and what do you bring? And then I got a phone call from this person, and within one day, I offered 4 jobs. People think I picked the best one. No, I picked the first one. I wasn't waiting for another phone call. You know what I mean? So that's the truth of the matter. I just took the first job that came up. Now, your story is different, right?
Oh yeah, my story is vastly different because I'm a writer. And actually, I
I tried to get into the comic industry because I've been a long, time comic fan since I was 12 years old. Right after I graduated college, I sent Marvel, and I was living in DC at the time, I sent them 2 proposals. And they both came back with rejection letters.
Gotta keep those letters.
Yeah, and I still have them, And it's like, so that was my first, attempt at getting in. But at that time, I had just started to feel like, maybe the film industry was something I wanted to do, something creative, because I got my degree in microbiology, and I was studying genetic engineering in grad school before I said, screw this. And the impetus for my saying that was the fact that there was a PhD, I was just working on my master's, and there was a PhD in my laboratory who wasn't even making $30,000 a year. And now, of course, this was in 1987, but still, when I looked upon my trajectory, or prospective trajectory as a research scientist, it was not going to put me on a very stable financial path, and that kind of scared me because these were colleagues that I wanted to aspire to be like. And they weren't necessarily struggling, but they weren't making good money. And I was like, right now I'm 25, it's going to take me 2 years to get out of the master's program, another 3 to 7 to get out of my PhD program, which is, depending on your dissertation and all that. And I was like, I don't know. And then so,
Well, you do.
yeah, but I remember I was in seminar, and I was supposed to be taking notes, and here I am writing a screenplay. And I said, you know what, and then, I guess it was my professor said something that was, quite prophetic. He said, you can get, if you get your master's, you're gonna get a job over someone with a BA or BS degree, Bachelor of Science, but not any more responsibility. And when I was looking at how long it was going to take me to get out, I said, I don't know if this is a very good idea. And so I said, you know what, maybe this is the time where I should try my hand and really try to make a go at getting into Hollywood and becoming a professional screenwriter. So, with that in mind, it took me another couple of years to save the money. I came out here, and it took from when I first started in 92, it took almost 10 years for me to break in with Underworld, even though I had done some small acting parts, commercials, this, that, and the other. And I had tried to, while I was out here, during that time in the 90s, break into the comic book industry again. I would come down to San Diego periodically, which is, I think I met you before 2000 or after 2000.
It was the same year, about the same time.
Yeah, because I started coming here in 90, I guess it was 93, 94. And let me tell you, I was talking to everyone I could on the Marvel and DC level because I didn't know much about independent comics and never really liked them before. Tried to break in there, and I gotta tell you, I was met with nothing but discouragement. One of the editors, who shall remain nameless now, who currently works at DC, basically told me, you ain't gonna make it.
Name names.
You're not gonna make it. Writing is one of the hardest things to get into, and you might as well just forget it. And I was really discouraged. But I talked to Paul Levis, and I was a civilian. I didn't know tar from sugar if I tasted it as far as getting into the comic book industry. And he sat up there and talked to me for 45 minutes. Yeah, exactly. Telling me how to break into the industry. And that really aided in my perspective in terms of what the comic book industry was and what it was not, and how to actually break in. So, a couple of half-hearted attempts, I didn't get in because I still didn't feel that I had the skill set enough until I wrote Underworld. And it's funny, the drudgery I had, the path I took to try to get in before Underworld and the one afterwards was like night and day. It's almost like I called someone and got an audience telephone call with the Marvel editor, and they said, Kevin, we've actually been looking for you. I'm like, really? And I sent them a screenplay, and I did a couple of independent books prior to that with the now defunct company called Alias. And Axel read one of them, he's like, hey, you're down. And they gave me New Warriors right away. And it's like, you know, I can tell you the real surrealistic part about breaking into the comic book industry versus the film industry is it is much easier to break into the film industry. Yeah, that's the surreal part and the scary part. And I'm still flabbergasted by it. And I think the way it works now is that you have had to have had success in another medium before they can let you in if you're talking about Marvel and DC, and maybe to a lesser degree, the independent companies. But you have to have done something in another industry before they, quote unquote, let you through the door. The industry is a great industry, the comic book industry, but it's also highly incestuous, you know. A lot of people try to say, oh, well, they're this, they're that, blah, blah, blah. No, really, you just have to know someone for the most part to get in, and you have to schmooze beyond reckoning. Yeah. And it's like, and it's really true, you know. The networking aspect is almost as important as the, you know, as it is you actually knowing the craft and getting in. Like I remember.
Well, it's different for you guys. Writers, it's different, like schmoozing. But for artists, it's about commercial success.
Yeah.
Like if you are commercially viable, they say I can make money off of Ken's stuff. You're gonna get a look. So I'm very fortunate that I have a look that has commercial written all over it. So I can step into pretty much anywhere and go, hey, and they'll Axel will, hey, or editor will, hey, this guy is successful here. I can put him on this book, and this book will do this. You know, it's about money. Like, even the independent guys show their work, and they have flaws in their work. It's like, well, that's even if you're good. It's like, well, commercial success. I gotta build an audience for you. I have to put you on a book, and then I have to build an audience for you, as opposed to somebody who comes with an audience attached. So if I show up on a book and I worked on Superman and Doom, and you know these kinds of things, and I put it down in front of them, they go, well, that's his audience, and we're going to get roughly those kinds of numbers, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're going to say. Now, Superman and Doom, they had no idea Superman and Doom was going to go. They thought, 38-page book done by Ken Lashley, that should sell about this amount, and then it hits the stands and it blows the doors, and then all of a sudden it becomes, whoa. We have to go back to the second printing. Now, second printing is a lot of those things that happens a lot of times in comics, but not on a 38-page book that costs X amount of dollars to produce. It's a big book. It's like an annual. So they're asking me to do. They went to a second printing on an annual, and they're like, so that's why DC was like, hey man, what you want to do? You know, what do you want to do? Right? So I'm like, you know, we'll see. And then I started to make some other choices, and then off we go, right? But that's one thing that you never know where your success is going to come from, but you have an opportunity all the time to showcase. And that's why we've talked forever. My kids love him. They think he's freaking hysterical. I just stare at him like, what? Is that coming out of your head? That's not your voice. That's how it is.
Ken, you talked about that you always did art, you always were drawing, and that was kind of a part of who you were, even when you were teaching. But you were on, Kevin, were on this research scientist path, and it sounded like it's more of a, like I need money now, more change of career kind of thing.
Kevin versus
screenwriting, and you were kind of intimidated by the path ahead with the research. So I'm kind of surprised, like, you know, screenwriters are a dime a dozen in LA, and I'm kind of surprised that you weren't that intimidated about that.
Well, here's the thing. The impetus for my getting into science as a profession was based upon my love for science fiction, you see. So it was kind of like subliminal, you know. What you want to do was something that, well, is as close to reality as you can get as far as a career. So I can't be a mad scientist, in real life. True. But I can be a research scientist and still stay within the arena, of science and those things that are, I guess a little bit more esoteric, fun as far as comic books and all that other stuff that I can dream, And I remember what I wanted to work on as a research scientist was genetic engineering, but also more specifically, geriatrics in terms of life prolongation, you know what I'm saying? And that was very interesting. Now, of course, we all want to live forever, but that ain't gonna happen. But how long can we expand the lifespan and still maintain our relative youth, things like that. So, there was a kind of like, some connective tissue there, But yeah, I really wasn't intimidated because I think when you've grown up as a comic book fan and loving this stuff, it's like, what's through it? And I think the way the economy is right now and the way it seems to be working, you're gonna have to find a way to make your avocation your vocation, do your own thing and really try to make a living that way. And so, since, like I said, I've always been interested in this stuff, it was, even though it was hard, it was like, hey, this speaks more to me.
But did you already have stories in your head?
Oh, yeah.
that you wanted
Yeah.
to tell? It's not like you decided on
Exactly like this character I created for Marvel called the Blue Marvel. I actually created that in part when I was a kid. You see, so it was just a blessing that I was able to, tell that story as an adult. Because when you're a kid, you're like, okay, well, here's my character fighting Superman, or being on the Justice League or the Avengers, and I got a chance to do that, so it was a good thing. Sorry.
Does your writing resemble other authors, or
What? There are a lot of authors I like. Comic book artists. Authors. Novel authors. Sometimes as a screenwriter, you like someone's style, you might emulate that. Other times, you have to speak with your own voice. Sorry.
That's interesting.
Kevin, I know that Kirby was a big influence on you as a kid getting into comics.
Yeah.
Ken, what was some of the people that influenced you and made you start drawing and stuff like that?
My favorite artist growing up had to be John Byrne. I was a huge John Byrne fan, and I have a great story when I first met him. Because you hear stories about meeting John Byrne, and they can be colorful.
Say that.
Yeah, he's a very colorful guy. Here's the thing about John Byrne. So I meet John Byrne, and I'm at a show, and he's holding court. He's got a bunch of people around him, and it's funny because I've always loved his work. And he was eating corn chips. Yeah, he was eating corn chips, and he had corn chips all in his beard. And I remember he was talking, and then I didn't introduce myself as an artist, I just as a fan. So I said, "Nice to meet you." And he's like, "No, thank you very much." And that was my moment. And I tell you, there comes a point in every artist. Like I've sat next to some amazing, talented people. I've never told them who I was because I wanted the moment to be about just meeting them. That's it, because they inspired me. So I meet them. I got them to, I looked at them and looked at stuff, and then I just left. Right? Maybe some years later, I met Jeremy Mita, senior. I was in Chicago, and he's another artist. I like the draftsmen. I like Garcia Lopez. I like the, Busimas. I like the people who can really draw. Really knock, things you go, is that humanly possible? That's just insane. I like those really good draftsmen. Those are the people that inspire me the most. So I love things even now. When I look at, Stuart Immonen is one of those guys now, who's one of those guys who just draws like nobody's business. And I don't think he gets enough due, but he's crazy good. And there's very few, guys like that. But I like the really good artists, guys who really draw. That's what I aspire to be. The talented artists. That's what I aspire to be. Those are the guys who got me. Stu, go ahead.
So Kevin, can you talk about the difference in writing for comics versus movie
Yeah, I think the thing is, with screenplays, you have to be more visual, believe it or not. And everything springs from you, as a writer. It's a blueprint for what the movie will look like because you're gonna have the director and the producer shape that. But I think you're also writing for the reader in movies as opposed to, writing comic books. You're writing for the artist and you let him take over your narrative to an extent, That's the most discernible difference, I can tell you.
It's interesting you say that because as an artist working with scripts, sometimes depending on who the writer is, you don't have any leeway. Sometimes the writer is like, well, this is the vision, and you got to follow. I'm like really working with people that want to work with me as a creator, not as a pair of hands, right? So sometimes a writer will say, this is my vision. And I said, well, that's cool, you can draw that. And they're like, I said, they say, I don't draw. And I said, exactly. You know, let me do, I'm not sending you notes about what to write. Don't send me notes about what to draw, right? Like, you know, and that's how I feel. Now, that doesn't work with everybody, right? And then you become one of those artists that, Ken's good, but man, he's tough to work with, right? Sometimes, because I think it's sometimes it's kind of rude when you get a script and a pair of thumbnails done by somebody who's not an artist, and they're telling you how to draw, how they want this scene laid out. Now, if there's an idea, and I said, this is my idea for this scene, and this is what I was thinking about the layout should be like, because this is my end goal, that's awesome, then we can have a dialogue. But I don't like someone telling me this is what I want you to draw, this is the angle of the head, this we should do this, that angle. Well, then you're halfway home. You know, here's the pen and here's some paper, you knock yourself out, right? And so I like to work with like working with Gail Simone and Secret Six. I've had so little direction because they say, do your thing. Now, that's also scary because you get no direction because you do your own thing. Same with Lucasfilm. I'm doing a print with Lucasfilm, and they say, do whatever you want to do. And I said, when Lucasfilm says do whatever you want to do, then I guess you do whatever you want to do, right? but there comes a point, there's a moment of stagnation when that happens, because you get the idea and you go, if I can do anything, then I can do anything, so I got to think about everything. I need to sit down for a second. Right? And figure it out, right? You figure it out. But those are the things as an artist that, you know, now listen, this is all new stuff, right? This is the new age. When I first started in the business, it was a writers driving the bus. I mean, there were artists driving the bus. We were the one. They could never start Image Comics with 7 wicked writers. No one would care, right? But now it's completely the other side of the fence, where the writers dictate who works with them. They say, oh, I want to work with this guy. And if you're a talented artist and no one wants to work with you, you don't work. So you have to find that common, you have to either partner up with somebody or they partner up. But within that, there's a couple of artists. I'm very fortunate that I can say I want to do this, and they ask me who I want to work with. Like, I'm very fortunate that way. But that doesn't happen every day. And that's not how it works. Right, Kevin?
Oh, yeah.
There was one writer. I'm going to tell this story because I don't care, because I'm not afraid of anybody. One writer who was working with, and he was being removed from the title, and I guess they had rewritten something of his, and I got the script. So he contacted me behind the back and asked me if I would send him the rewrite. And I said, no, because that's not my place. And if you have a problem with whoever, then you take care of it, you call, and you figure that out. And I remember the answer back was, I feel bad now that I recommended you for all that work. And I said, I didn't respond. You know why I didn't respond? Because my mother raised me better than that.
Oh, yeah.
But what I want to say is, and how I really truly feel in my heart was, no one can get you work in this business. No one can deny you work. It's all about what you can do. So even if I have a problem with you, you hate my guts, you can't stop them from calling me. Because that's the truth. The truth is about business. But I learned a valuable lesson that day. I mean, also some guys would have gone behind it. Like, oh, you know, it's okay. Oh, send them a script. And I would put myself in a very bad situation for no reason, right? I made a call, and if he can't live with it, that's his business, right? That's how life works. So.
Right. What would Kevin do? Yes, sir.
Yeah, for you, Kevin.
Yeah.
When Underworld and High Frankenstein, were they spec scripts that got bought, or were they?
Spec scripts, yeah. I'm not the kind of guy who really takes assignments, you know. assignments come with a set of preconceived directions, you know, and it's hard to break what they have in mind, and you really have to know how to navigate that world, because if a producer has a certain direction in mind, you can't really break that. Now you can to your peril, but it's a very slippery slope. Okay, that's good. Okay, you right there.
I wanted to ask both of you, have you ever been in a situation where you start collaborating with someone and a sequence that you were putting together, they sound off on it and it inspires you further and you kind of keep going back and forth? And
Yeah, yeah, and that can be scary too, because the thing about comic book writing especially, you only have so many pages, you know what I'm saying? And so you have to get a lot of information in, and if they spin you in another direction, it's hard to tell your editor, dude, can we have another issue? You would be like, I don't think so.
You know, it's I'm at a different end of the spectrum, right? So it's I'm at the end, so I have to sort of sometimes I get some crazy ideas, and some things come to me, and I go, dude, like, you know, there's only 20 pages in this, right? You know, like I can't. You know, you're asking me to do some stuff. Like I remember Reggie, we're doing Black Panther. I'm throwing Reggie on the bus right now. I don't care. But Reggie had a scene, and it was like, yeah, Black Panther is in hell, and he's running away from the devil, and I want miles and miles of corpses. So he said, like, what? Miles and miles of what? So I said, I read it again. You need to read it again because you want clarification in your own brain. So I go, okay, all right. So I do this long panel, and it's literally miles and miles and miles of corpses because I'm trying to be a good soldier here. And the colorist went, oh, hell no. The colorist went, all blue, brown, and I said, and I looked at the book and I said, oh, hell no. You're gonna color all of those corpses. What are you talking about? I did all the heavy lifting. But that's the nature of the business. Like he's making a great story. I'm trying to get paid. You know, I get paid if it's Silver Surfer floating in space with black with stars. I get the same amount if it's like miles and miles of corpses. Right? So it's a page is a page, right? So you're trying to do all these different things. But I mean, as an artist, you're just trying to do whatever. You're trying to live, right? You're trying to do great quality work, and and really what it's about in the end is that you're just trying to do the things you wanted to do when you were a kid. Like I was a kid and I wanted to draw comics. I'm in my 40s and I'm doing the same thing I did when I was 8 years old. You know, I draw most of my pajamas. It's true, you know. I mean, and I get to sit and my kids think it's hilarious. My office is a hot mess because that's how I think. And and I bought some crazy things in my life. Yes, so what? So have all of you. I spent some money on some silly things. Yes, I have a full-size Silver Surfer in my house. Yes, and it's silly when you see it live.
I need to tell you about that $600 Jeff Everett Saints.
See, I tell you something in confidence. All right, you see what? Okay, I did. Okay,
Who got traded?
okay, I'm gonna tell you. See what it is with you? Okay, I'm gonna tell the truth. The truth of the matter is, okay, this is the truth of the matter. I'm a Saints fan. That's right. I went to the Saints game, and I go Minnesota fan. So I went to the Saints game, and I get to the gift shop. I'm gonna tell the truth. I get to the gift shop, and oh my God. So I'm there, and I'm saying I want to buy every jersey that fits me because I don't know if I'm gonna be back here. This is the first time it's been on. So I'm buying all these jerseys. The list, we got a Keener here. So every jersey that fit me, it was 2X, 3X at the time. So pulling the jerseys, and we're doing so it's $80, $70, $125, $69, $695. What? How much is that jersey? She goes, $695 jersey, $695. Okay. And it's Jim Everett. I mean, like, not even a real. I mean, not even a jersey I'm ever gonna wear. You just go through it, and So I get to the stadium. I'm in the stadium. I got a bag of jerseys, and I'm watching the game. The Saints are losing, of course. So I'm watching the Saints lose, and I'm like, I came a long way to watch them lose. So they're losing, and I have a Brooks jersey on at the time. Brooks, and they're like, oh, Brooks sucks. And I'm like, he sucks. And I realize they're talking to me. I got a Brooks jersey on. And I go, oh shoot. So I go, hold on. wait. So I put on another jersey and I go, Kyle Turley. I have another, and they go, not bad, but he still sucks. I go, I go, and I put on McAllister. McAllister goes, how many jerseys you got? I go, 4 more! That's my story. All right, so here we go. Because you guys came today, and I wanted this thing really about Kevin and I, because these panels are fun when you do drawing and do that kind of stuff, but I want it to be more about creators, and, this way. So we invited Kevin to come with me and do this, and I'm glad you came. It was a lot of fun. But because you guys came, and there's lots more of you than I thought would show, I have a free poster that I'm only for the people that came to this panel. So this poster will not be at my booth. You can't get it any other place but coming to here today. Now, I look around the room, and I hope I brought enough. Right? I realize you're okay. So here we go.
So if you guys can stay in your seats,
Okay.
we'll help you.
Want me to do that? Right. You want me to sign them, or what we do is, I'll give them all to you, and then you come to my booth, and I'll sign them for you. 829. Good?
8 what?
829.
829.
Oh, no.
The whole thing is just
Oh, we do the whole thing too.
I do this voice at home and practice it.
My name is Jim.
One time I coached football, and I was talking to Kevin. Calls me one time. I think you were on a set of on row 2, and it's 3, and he called me, and he goes,
Hey, kid.
and I say, hey,
It's me, Kevin.
and I was like, I don't want to be rude to Kevin, but I never get you confused with anybody else. So, I don't go, Mom? But I want to thank you guys for coming and all today. What time? Oh, we got 50 more minutes. 50 more minutes. Any question you want to ask?
You guys talk about your project?
Oh, you want to talk about us?
What were you guys working with?
Well, me and Kevin have been talking for a long time. We're like old. I love you too. But here we are. We have a thing. We have a few things that we want to work with. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, we have a project called Clockworks we're working on.
That's not the name. That's not the name of it. What are you talking about? It's
Oh, we have same thing.
Yeah, that's right.
And basically, just to give you a little teaser, it's about a group of heroes who are trying to fix the time stream after it goes bluey. So, it should be something exciting that you guys might want to check out.
And also, I know it sounds really bizarre. I haven't really talked about that much. We'll talk about it all today, but Milestone has asked me to do some design work for the new Milestone imprint. Now that's gonna be fun, but here's what you guys don't know behind the scenes. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Reggie's gonna get mad, but Reggie's not here, so whatever. 3 years ago, I was part of a panel. I was went to see the Black panel in San Diego Comic-Con. I always go every year, and I'm sitting in the audience, and Dennis Cowan does one of these. Don't leave. And I was like, your mic is on. You know what I mean? Don't leave. So that's okay. So after the panel's over, you're in the hallway in San Diego, and he goes, we're doing Milestone, and you have to be part of it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And that's the last I heard for the next con. So a year later, I see him again, and he's like, we're gonna have a bigger discussion now. So we're in the hallway, we're talking, and he says, this is really gonna happen, we're really moving forward, a milestone is gonna happen, we're gonna do this. Let me tell you how weird it is. I leave San Diego Comic-Con, and a friend of mine was with me, and he's like, that's an amazing thing to, bring back, talking about Duffy's legacy and all these great ideas are gonna be, that's amazing. I'm walking out of the Comic-Con, and I'm walking back to the condo, and I decided, let's go a different way back to the condo. It's really right across the street. So I go up, it's so bizarre. And the reason why it's so bizarre, wait till you hear this. I'm walking up this street, and I decide to turn a certain way. I turn a certain way, and our condo's here. It's in the middle, so I go either way. And I always went this one way. I turn, and I'm going up the street, and this lady walks out of a restaurant. And I'm looking at this lady, and I realize it's Dwayne McDuffie's widow. And she sees me, and we have a conversation. And I think that's so bizarre that I just get asked to do this Milestone book, and then I bump into his widow on the way out. It's so weird. So then that tells me, so my guy with me was like, you better do that one down. God has spoken to you. You gotta do that. I was like, oh, I guess I gotta do that, right? So that's my thing. So I'm definitely there. So now I'm gonna do it. It was also behind the scenes until Reggie went on my Facebook wall and said, I'm gonna get you a script soon. And I go, dude, you can't go on my Facebook wall and talk about milestone like that. You gotta send me a private message.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks very much. And